Welcome yet again to another episode of LunarCRUSH Live. Today, John and I have the team from EasyFi, and we're really happy and excited that they got to join us from the other side of the world. So stay tuned. It's going to be fun. Just another disclaimer. We do not take payment for our live stream. We bring on cool projects, fun people that we like to learn and hear from that are building cool things in the space. And make sure you hit that subscribe button and ask some questions. We're going to get this going. So John, take it away.
Sure. Thanks, Joe. I'm so excited to talk about EasyFi today. Anytime we get to talk about DeFi, I just get super thrilled with what's going on in the world today. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start by talking a little bit about the metrics that we see on EasyFi on LunarCRUSH.com. So just a reminder, all of these are free. So if you just sign up with a free account, you can access all of this information forever. So we got some amazing, fun things coming up. So you'll definitely want to do that. So EasyFi, we actually added it December 1st onto the site. And just to cover a few of the top level metrics, we're looking at a project that's 26.17 million market cap. It's over the last 24 hours, we're measuring 4.38 million in volume. And it's got a circulating supply of 1.63 million out of 10 million coins out there. Over the last month, it's up 224.15%, even with a rough last 24 to 48 hours across the entire market. So looking at some of the social activity, we see that, I'll just scroll down here just a little bit. So we see that social volume over the last month is up 61.6%. That looks at like a low of 81 to a high of 700 posts per day. Currently, as of Monday, we had 236 posts. And what this is looking at, it's looking at the number of mentions of, like, say, the ticker Easy, the EasyFi name, and it's looking for really any time a social post says anything related to EasyFi. Within those posts, we see that social engagement's up 122%. It's gone as high as just over 2 million, which is really great for a project of this size. What that's looking at is it's looking at the number of kind of different engagements within a tweet or a social post anywhere. So it's looking at, like, are there comments, are there retweets, are there upvotes on Reddit, that sort of thing. We see that social contributors, this is looking at the number of individuals per day. Great that there's a lot of social volume, but how many people does it come from? We see that it's gone as high as over 1,000 people a day. So on January 27th, we hit 1,012. Yesterday, it was 214. And so this is up 22.8%. That's a very, very important metric. It means that the community itself is growing in numbers, not just individuals posting. So that's, I should say, it's looking at the individuals posting. Social dominance, let's see the last month here, it's gone as high as 0.08% of the social posts in the market that day. So that's pretty good. That's really good for a coin of this size. And bullish sentiment up 68.4% over the last month. Just a reminder of how that works. We collect every single social post that comes in. Every single one gets classified and categorized by sentiment. And we have a whole library that's looking at all of the social posts. And it's pretty accurate, and it's looking at really, like, is it a positive or is it a negative post? And so this measures that. The number of individuals posting is great, but let's look at the number of influencers. So we look at really three factors. We look at engagement. So how much activity are the posts getting of these individuals? How active are these individuals? And what's the following of these individuals? And when we look at that over the last month, we see that the top 10 influencers are here. And it starts with Income Sharks. So Income Sharks has been posting. Yep. And then we got JJ Cycles. We got DeFi Matrix CMX. We got Silver Bullet BTC. And then we got EasyFi Network number 5. What's really interesting about that? There's a lot of projects that you see that their own account is number 1. You actually don't want to see that. You want to see that there's others ahead of them, which means that the community is talking about them more than they're talking about themselves. So that's a major, major point. So the fact that these are 4 absolutely major influencers, we see them on a lot of coins, like ranking very, very high because they're very active and have a lot of engagement. But they're above the main EasyFi account. So I think that's noteworthy. We have Ash as number 6, the blockchain preacher. I can't even talk today. blockchain preacher. Papa Wheelie, Tapas Sahu, and Rahul. Charashia is number 10. So with that, let's bring in our guests.
Awesome. There they are. Ankitt, Anshul, thank you guys so much for being here.
Thank you,
Appreciate
guys.
it. We're
Hello.
excited.
Thanks, Joe. Thanks, John. Thanks for inviting us.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. So the way we like to always kind of start is, and maybe Ankitt, you could tell us, where you are in the world, what's it like there, and what's a day in the life for you with EasyFi?
Right. So we are right now live from Delhi, which is the capital of India. Day in EasyFi starts with checking the price of Easy first of all, though. And the second thing is checking the price of Bitcoin, because that sets the market mood. And then a call with Anshul. That's how our day starts, actually. And then we generally catch up with the teams. Anshul has his own role to play. I have my own roles to play, catching up with the teams, getting on with the regular routine stuff, hitting the office, meeting people sometimes twice a week, thrice a week. And then half of the day goes on Telegram.
Yep.
I feel that. I feel you on that one too. And Telegram is just a forest of messages, man. I tell you what, I've never missed more messages than on Telegram in my entire life.
Absolutely, I agree with that.
And then Anshul, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, so pretty much as Ankit said, so my schedule is quite the same because my wife used to say Ankit is my second wife, and we have been communicating a lot and not to them. So that's how our routine is from last year or so. So we have been working together and doing all the stuff, daily routines. It has been a day-to-day event now. So my major role in EasyFi is to take care of all the operations and to discuss all the strategic path with Ankit, getting it running over and implement it in the right manner. And of course, looking at the markets, as Ankit said, that's part of our routine now. Even onto the bed, we have our mobile phones in our hand and watching what's on with the markets. And of course, I do keep a watch on LunarCRUSH also, how the sentiments are going on for EasyFi, and we take a very serious feedback from LunarCRUSH. Amazing work there, guys.
Well, I appreciate that.
I'd be curious, what kind of metrics do you guys look at every day, other than LunarCRUSH, of course? But what kind of things do you guys find important?
So majorly, I see this organic engagement with the EasyFi. We are getting good traction, and of course, LunarCRUSH is one of the most important platform there that gives you a very clear picture of the market sentiments going on. Otherwise, as Joe said, Telegram is a forest of messages, and you are lost in the information. So LunarCRUSH definitely one of our source. Where we get that information, and we keep on working on those sensitive areas, like we need a original community. Do we need to have more interaction with influencers? We need to talk to them, clarify the stuff with the community, all the stuff. There's a lot of things going on behind the scenes.
And more importantly, regular training of moderators is also important, because many a times they don't know the progress of the project to be able to communicate and engage with the community in the right manner. So we have like a routine of average, like once a week training with moderators and other important community people who sort of engage with us directly, with more with Anshul, less with me, because I love to stay behind in the kitchen cooking code and concepts. That's what I say.
That's his favorite part. Yeah.
Nice.
Just to kind of touch on that a little bit. So you guys have, is there kind of, are you communicating the roadmap to them? Are you sending, updates? Is it video? Is it audio? Like, I'd love to hear the actual tactics that you guys use to kind of distribute that.
Generally, so we have, since the beginning of the project, have adopted a very differential approach, which initially community did not find very usual. But then we had communication with them, and we explained to them why is that, and they sort of have accepted it now, and they agree that it makes sense. And the approach is that instead of publishing like a 12 months, 14 months roadmap, what we do is, because the DeFi ecospace is so new and is changing so fast, that setting up a 12 months roadmap is really not possible. We already published a higher umbrella level vision on our website, that these are the 4 or 5 things that we're going to do, but then putting them into specifics on a roadmap for a 12 months is like, I can't get it. So we decided to publish quarterly roadmaps, achieving them, giving them updates, and then move on with that. So initially we defined it more month by month order, but because the second quarter roadmap was more also dependent upon the outside partnerships that we had to do, hence we decided more of a quarterly targets for ourselves. And for the communication perspective, we always give them back an update in form of videos and written articles. And at the end of the quarter, I personally do a community connect initiative where I go live and connect with the community directly, giving them the update, communicating with them. So instead of just publishing the roadmap, I personally go on air and sort of interact with them and discuss what are going to be our next quarter's targets and how did we stand in the previous quarter. So this is typically our approach.
Yeah, thanks. And you heard John genuinely laugh right there and smile because, he's constantly putting together the most epic roadmap known to man. And I'm just taking a grenade and I'm just throwing it over the fence. That's a roadmap. But yeah, the space is just moving so quickly and so fast, and you need to stay on top of it. And the roadmap needs to pivot along with the team and the people. So, it's good to hear about how you guys are kind of moving information around, and it's global too, right? So it's like you're going to have different languages and different places, time zones, and it's a lot for, young founders to grapple. So yeah, I'd love to hear just a little bit more about like the founding story from you guys. I mean, normally we'll just kind of go into it, but I'd love to hear just kind of, why did you guys start tackling this problem? And maybe in that you can tell us a little bit about the problem you are tackling.
Okay. So essentially, we both belong in one way or the other from finance as well. Like I come from a finance family where my father had been into the stocks business. Anshul himself has been into stocks and financial trading businesses for over almost 12 years. So we actually started working together almost 2.5 years ago on a different project that we had. And somewhere during the DeFi buzz, when it was building up and the DeFi was coming up, and I'm talking about not May 2020, actually January 2020, we were in Singapore and brainstorming various different ideas to do on DeFi, and had been, playing around with various different DeFi strategies, building up, different kind of stuff. And while we were doing all that, we came across a couple of things. So at that point of time, it was nearly February 2020 when Aave actually launched flash loans. Around that time, it started to pick up, and there was first exploit on BZX in February 2020, actually because of flash loans. And we were like, man, this is one interesting thing as well, but also it's like going around with a time bomb, right? But when we did some more research, and also incidentally, it was in February 8th when DeFi hit $1 billion TVL. And I remember that day because we really got out of bed. It was like midnight and celebrated, literally danced for that moment. And at that point of time, we were like, everything is cool, but there's one inherent problem we observed on DeFi at that point, that while Aave and compounds of the world were clocking in TVL in terms of bringing in idle capital to DeFi, but the avenues for deployment of capital with efficient returns were very, very limited. And that's when we started our research, doing and studying various different protocols, concepts coming in. And it was like in June 2020 when him and I were sitting in a restaurant, obviously, and talking to each other on video WhatsApp calls, because we were at that time a little far off. So we generally used to do this, hang out on Zoom call and having lunch together, stuff like that on Zoom call. So that was the time we were discussing, as in, let's get back to the problem that we discussed was essentially a deployment of capital into the correct avenues. And then we stepped back and observed actually in the traditional financial markets. So the capital movement generally happens via various different lending avenues. And we decided this is the thing we want to do. Like, there is enormous amount of capital. There's no dearth of idle capital in the world, especially in the Western world. How do we create a bridge for this to be deployed in a decentralized manner towards the economies of Asia and Africa, where people actually are in dire real need of capital, and make it more permissionless, more instant, more utilizable, And that was the vision with which we actually started the lending. By the time we actually did more research, the ETH gas price had started to swell up. And while playing and doing the research, we ended up paying like I think it was $150 for doing all end-to-end transactions on Compound. I was like, man, first thing first, let's go to layer two.
Change it.
We are going layer two. So that was the time we decided we are going to be building a utilization and adoption based lending protocol on layer two. And that's how EasyFi was born. And then we decided on how we're going to do under collateralized loans, micro lending, uncollateralized loans over a period of time. And we said we'll solve one puzzle at a time because these are complex puzzles, require a lot of stuff to be done. And actually, it was that time when we were working on this, we launched our product, another product called Trust Score, that was also launched as a backbone for this lending protocol in June 2020, which is essentially a blockchain-based, trustless credit rating mechanism for people, which reads up credit transactions and net worth of a person from various different chains and massage them together to come up with a proper credit scoring, which is over the period of time is going to be used for generating the credit worthiness of an individual.
Here we go. Yeah, and I think background noise. If you guys could just mute when you're not speaking. No, Ankitt, I appreciate you kind of walking through that. And then, I mean, why do you think? I mean, you guys, even just testing out and building something, and the fees that were coming through, you guys were like instantly, you're like, okay, this is not going to work. I mean, and you guys were starting kind of mid last year. I mean, there have been so many projects that have still launched like an ERC20 token within DeFi post when gas started going up. Why do you think people are still doing that, in a sense where, unless there's some other application that doesn't have as many transactions or whatever it may be, but even to test, like you're saying, was costing you guys a lot of money in the prototyping stage. So, I mean, maybe why do you think people are doing that?
So I tell you something, we have paid a lot of cost by in various ways by choosing layer 2, but that was because we are in it for a very, very long vision. So the vision that we have set up for ourselves is not going to be completed in like 1 year or 2 years time. It's going to take time. Yes, the product can be built, but the products are only as good as they are being used. So bringing in the right kind of adoption that we want to build, we had to be into it for long haul. So we are the first DeFi lending protocol on Polygon Matic. So, and we were really, really scared, to be honest, when we launched our protocol on 30th of September, and me and Anshul were sitting like this. My God, what's going to happen? And the points, the node endpoints of Matic started to blown away because of the amount of traffic we got that night. That was amazing moment. And we were like, if you are giving the right stuff to people, they are happy to come along with you anywhere. And that sort of proved our thesis and strengthened our belief in layer 2, that if we can really prove it and there is an incentive for people, they are there with you anywhere. And that since then we have been working exclusively and more in depth on layer 2 blockchain Matic, and now looking at expanding to other blockchains for being able to work towards our vision of seamless adoption in terms of the lending space. So that's been our journey.
Let me ask, which blockchains are those that you're expanding to?
So, no prizes for guessing, right?
I could guess.
Yeah, I think I could guess.
That's what I'm saying. No prizes for guessing.
John, I want to let you kind of go through some of these other questions in here that you've got. But I just wanted to say thanks for that explanation about if you build it, they will come kind of thing. And, if you build something cool, it doesn't matter where you build it, people will follow you. So appreciate that.
So I have a question for you guys here. So which one is your favorite L2, or which layer 2 you are looking for as of now?
Just throwing it back at us.
Yeah. I mean, of course, you analyze the markets like anything, and coming that from you would be definitely appreciable, right?
I mean, we've had Matic on here before. I guess I should say Polygon now. I'm really interested what the future looks like with ETH2 and Polygon. Like, I'm curious what that
Okay.
looks like. I mean, I've done a lot of research on ETH too, and I mean, it's going to scale a lot more than the problems we're currently seeing, but it also
Right.
is going to have its limitations as this ecosystem just continues to grow at lightning speed. So
True.
I'm curious what the future of Polygon looks like. And in
Mm.
fact, it seems like if you throw Polygon into the mix, it's a like real competitor in a sense to Polkadot and that
Mm.
ecosystem. So
Yeah.
I'm just curious. I'm curious where it goes. I mean, fan of Polkadot and what they're doing over there as well. There's a lot of amazing things going on.
Yeah, yeah, of course. So we also looking forward to a launch of parachains and see how the
Yeah,
Polka Strata ecosystem is coming up in recent coming days. And then, of course, Polygon has leveled up their game like anything. And from a side chain for completely layer two network, now again a totally different ecosystem up there. So a lot of stuff coming up on layer twos. I'm sure in coming times, all eyes will be on these layer twos only, and eventually they will all vibe up into main Ethereum chain, and this would be very exciting to see how that evolves.
yeah. Interoperability is going to be the name of the game. If you're not doing it,
Oh,
it's
of
not
course,
enough. Yeah,
of
I
Exactly.
course.
mean it. Plus, I mean, another thing. I mean, we're seeing liquidity start to rise a lot on some of these non-Ethereum projects out there. Like, there's a
Right.
lot. Like, there's a lot of things. We're seeing stuff built on Solana. That
Uh-huh.
seems to
Yeah.
be rising quite a lot too. And so that's going to be interesting because the so far it's been you have to build on Ethereum and Ethereum only because it's got the liquidity and no one else does. But now we're
Right.
seeing, and this goes into some questions that I've got. You guys apparently have a crystal ball and can see the future. You knew that gas fees would be atrocious right now, and you built on a layer two to keep those fees low last September apparently. So I'm curious, like, did you guys see this coming? Did you guys see? I mean, did you guys see CZ's tweet last night that you can't do Ethereum withdrawals because the gas fees are too high?
I wish you could have said yes.
Like, what's the story here? How did Matic come to be here and all this? I mean, like, you guys have like what would a transaction look like on EasyFi's app versus say Uniswap right now?
Mm.
So if you like, I'll to give you that. I mean, at the same time, when we built our first version around 15th of September of deployment of our contracts, comptroller contracts, and the core lending contracts, and doing the end-to-end transaction on Ethereum we paid 150, whereas on Matic we paid 1 cent.
Wow.
That's
And that was
the
back
answer.
that was back in September.
Yes, that's
What
the
would that
answer.
equivalent? What would that equivalent transaction be today?
I mean, if you go try and go do that today, it will be not less than $600-700 on that side. Maybe because Matic's price have gone up 10x from there, you can say 8 cents, 9 cents, max 10 cents.
Wow, that's amazing. That's amazing. Wow. So tell us some of these services built on top of EasyFi. Tell us some of these things that you
Right.
guys solve.
So basically, right now, what we have done is we have created the collateralized lending, which is essentially what you get on a compound where you list your assets and you bring out stable coins or any other assets out there. So that was the first module which we made live in December. And even in the collateralization space, our focus was, as I said, to give people something more, something new to be done, and hence we created our hashtag as Do More with DeFi. And the idea behind Do More with DeFi was that with all these new DeFi avenues coming up, and the whole thing was all about being able to create DeFi Legos and stuff. Hence, we started to scout out for more innovative collateralization options, and we started with that by connecting with non-ERC20 tokens to layer 2. So we partnered with, in that particular journey, we partnered with Boring DAO, which is enabling non-ERC20 communities like LTC, NEM Foundation, etc., to come to ERC20 and to layer 2 as well. So we partnered with them, and we are working on listing on all these assets as collateral so that a NEM holder or an LTC holder can tomorrow bring that token here on layer 2 as well, and can take a loan against it. Number one. Number two, that we are doing right now is about liquid staking. So basically, proof of stake blockchains came after POW to solve a particular problem, which was scalability, speed, and all. But essentially, what they led is to another problem of capital inefficiency. So your capital is locked in those proof of stake blockchains, and they are earning a certain amount of yield at a certain defined rate based on the validations and other transaction volume, etc. Now, as a result of bringing some amount of efficiency into that proof of stake, the liquid staking companies came in towards the late 2020 area, where ETH 2.0 staking and then giving liquidity tokens, etc., liquidity representation tokens. Now, what do you do with it? So we have taken a conscious, focused initiative to bring in various different liquidity staking companies together on EasyFi so that their liquidity staking tokens can be used as collateral here, and you can take a loan against it. Now, I'll quickly explain in sense of numbers the impact that is going to bring to people. So imagine you have invested $1,000 in Matic and you have staked that $1,000 for getting POS rewards. So approximately the Matic rewards right now are at 28%. So what you are earning, your original investment is earning, is $28 over 100. Now you take that particular representative token, bring it to EasyFi, put it as collateral, and you can take a loan up to $70. So essentially your net exposure to Matic's price movement is only $30 left, right? So essentially what you're getting is a $28 on a $30 risk exposure. Your returns gets multiplied up to even 90% in that way. Now, if you take that particular stable coin and put it back either onto EasyFi in the supply USDT pool, you are earning interest there, or you take it to Aave and take an interest of 7, 8, 10% there. So whatever interest you are paying here by borrowing that USDT, it's getting covered by reverse applying it, so at zero cost. So if you do this kind of a Lego, you have actually exponentially made your returns efficient by being able to reduce your exposure to the volatility of the underlying POS asset. Now, this is something which people do not realize until they are being taught, being conveyed. And this is what we have been working with various different people who are educators to sort of explain that how this whole thing is going to add value. So this is part of our Do More with DeFi initiative. And we are working on a couple more such initiatives in this quarter and in the quarters to come. So essentially, this is what is live right now. So we recently partnered with Staffy, Ramp. We have a couple more lined up in the similar category, which are going to be revealed over weeks to come. So we are working on a very, very focused approach where we pick up one particular problem area, try to solve it, and then bring an ecosystem together to solve it. And then we move on to the next one. And all our partnerships are around with that particular focus area. We do not really believe in doing, the hangout partnerships. We are not a big believer of that.
No, that's good.
So this is what we've been doing.
So I just want to try and throw an example at what you just said. I'm trying to make sure I fully grasp it. So let's say I had, I don't know, Ren, and Ren looks like right now it's yielding, I'm on Bancor's site, 20.75%. So I could go and take my money and stake it in your system, take a loan out, go to Bancor, and get even, and maybe put it in like a stable coin, for example, that's yielding.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
that way I'm diversifying my risk versus just
Absolutely.
all being in one asset.
Absolutely.
And so I'm compounding my returns. But the loan I'm taking from you, do the staking returns pay that monthly that APR that I have to pay back?
Yes, because the highest percentage
the P&I
that goes is in the extreme situation is around 20%. Otherwise, average is 5-6%.
So it is like an automatic payment. It just pays it and then it gives me the rest. Is it
No,
that kind of thing?
You will have to repay the loan. You have
Got
to
it.
repay
Okay.
the loan.
Okay.
Yeah, because that's a signing transaction. It's not a centralized system.
Sure. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, cool. Very cool.
Yeah, I like the thesis of do more with DeFi, and it just, even where we are sitting today, it's like I was I thought by 2021 I'd be able to, pretty easily take out like, a loan for a house, or a car, and like only put up a certain amount of collateral. Because like if you think about purchasing a home, you could put 3 to 5% down and still be able to purchase, a $500,000 home, right? Right now within crypto, it seems, hey, I need $1.5 million to take out my $500,000 loan and put that up as collateral. And so it's, the innovation that I think needs to happen, that gap needs to close before, people really, I think, understand and can say, I can now do something very serious with this outside of, maybe like, leveraging up something a little bit or taking a smaller loan. I think it's in the personal loan category. It's solving a ton of problems with kind of that smaller level. But it's like, I think, for you guys could be, taking that to the next level with everything could be really.
We heard you.
Yeah, of course. I mean, you rightly pointed out. You rightly pointed out, Joe. Here, I tell you, the market you are talking about right now is a consumer lending market, and small business loan market is a huge. It carries a CAGR of around 29% as of now, as we speak, and by 2027, it is only going to explode. More than $1 trillion market just for the small businesses and the consumer lending. And of course, that gap has to be fulfilled by the more efficient mechanisms over the time. And that efficiency of clearing and settlement, loan dispersal, reconciliation of and aggregation of all the lending books is going to, what we believe is going to happen by using a DeFi mesh of smart contracts as a tech stack. How we essentially see this mesh of smart contracts is going to be eventually adopted by traditional financial market per se when we talk about the lending industry, and it will only infuse more efficiencies into already existing mechanisms there. So that is how we see we are going to complement the traditional lending market industry over the period of next 5 years, 10 years as a long-term vision. But this market is huge. There's a lot of gap and the potential is endless, I tell you.
I mean, I just think about, like a traditional REIT, right? And, someone who has access to like maybe a very high end, like a Marriott, right? Or a hotel of some sorts. Those are always private transactions by developers, and they call a couple of their rich friends and they make it happen, right? And then, even to get access to like a securitized, people that have a FICO of 720 to 780, and this, you can't even get access to that. And so I see these larger institutions, once, these loans are very well established and they're out there, people are just gonna, and to give access, like we were talking about, democratizing the opportunity for people within, in the crypto space. That's what we're all here for. I think it's a huge opportunity because those are some of the safest and best assets in the world that the regular consumer doesn't have access to.
So exactly, I agree with you. So as I said in the beginning, the premise on which we are working is that, and that's where most of our thinking effort goes, is we are going with the basis that there is no dearth of capital at the DeFi exposure. The only thing that is not there is proper trustless options, where permissionless options, where you can actually get it defined and deployed in the right manner for the correct and optimum amount of yield. So every thought that we work on, every new product directions that we work on, or even the partnerships we work on, are all driven by that. So one is bringing in more seamless experience for users, be it gasless transactions, be it interoperability, be it wallet integrations, be it UX. So any of those directions, that's what we always keep our thoughts on. On the other side, we always work towards bringing in more and more adoption by creating more avenues for people to choose on being able to deploy the capital from the pool that they are participating in. So 2021 for us also is going to be very, very exciting, because many things that we have so far put up on the drawing board, they seem to have started to see the light of the day. And let's see how it goes.
Moving from possible to probable.
Absolutely.
Really interesting thing. I had a discussion with a friend last night who fortunately got into crypto like about a year ago, went big, and he was talking about paying a significant portion of his life off, but he's terrified to sell, not because Bitcoin is going to go up. He's terrified because he's going to get murdered with taxes in the United States. He'll have short-term capital gains, and he'll have taxes, income taxes. And one of the things I suggested to him was to go take a loan out, take a crypto loan out, don't sell, don't give your money to the government, which is basically them stealing your Bitcoin if you think about it.
Exactly.
And probably sending them to a corporation to buy them when you sell them. And so it's just an interesting discussion. Like it's almost like loans in the DeFi space have been looked at as like a micro loan. And having like the conversation I had of like, this is not a micro loan. This is like $1 million loan. Yeah. And and these are the discussions. I mean, if someone got into crypto in the last few years, there's a lot of millionaires out there.
True. And very true.
And they're all selling and they're paying taxes, especially in the United States, especially. It's like the worst place in the world for taxes with crypto. It's horrible. So I'm just curious. I'm curious what trends you guys see. Are you seeing your users change? Are you seeing what I'm hearing, or is it more smaller types of loans? What's a loan size?
So typically our loan size are not very big. They are smaller, and that's actually the focus market that we are in right now. Yet the larger institutional loan markets are not yet being approached by us because they need a very different kind of structural products, and that's in our plan, but not immediately. Maybe like 1 or 2 quarters later. So right now, what we are trying to do is we are trying to build the utility, as you said, for someone who wants to solve their consumer loan problem, their day-to-day life credit problems, building this. And as you right now just now said, the education in people that, hey, you don't really need to sell your crypto holdings. You can actually withdraw a loan on them and then use it and then repay it and get them released. Why do you want to sell them? You will have a taxation problem, especially in a bull run. You might miss an upside ride. I mean, on the similar lines, I have a very interesting incident that happened to me like a month and a half ago, towards January 1st week. There's this friend, he wanted to go for a hair transplant, by the way, and it's a real story. So he was holding some Ethereums and he said, hey, I want to sell it. And can you help me do that? Because he bought it like in 2020 beginning or something. So he said, I made a decent amount of profit. I want to sell it. I want to take this money and go for a hair transplant and etc. I said, why do you want to do that? You put it on EasyFi, take a loan on stable and use that. And this guy is now so happy, he's taking me out for dinner this Friday.
Well, Anshul, I think your hair looks great, man.
Yeah.
And he got good flicks also now. For sure.
It's just a different way of thinking about like utilizing assets, right? Now that it's like almost everything can be an asset, and the tokenization of everything in the future, it's like, well, why couldn't I take a loan very simply out against if I owned, Tesla stock or, like some other asset, and not being able to collateralize and lend that, use it to lend for yourself is, it's always been insurance products. It's like, oh, you have a whole policy. You can borrow against that in the future, and then you look at it and you're just like, it never ends up happening because it's never going to cover, the interest isn't there for you to cover some of the payments. And you're like, I don't know if this makes sense. And so you end up gouging yourself and taking out, some people take personal loans and other stuff. So it's just an education factor there. And, you talked about some of the smaller kind of micro loans, and, we just started LunarCRUSH Africa, and I was wondering for you guys, like micro lending and what your thoughts are on how that's going to impact the world and the unbanked and Asia and Africa.
Wait for an article in a couple of days on the same topic.
Say that again. Sorry.
I'm saying wait for something in a couple of days on that same lines.
Another announcement.
That's an announcement of an announcement. I like that.
You want to take it, you can take it, but it's contextual.
Yeah. No, we have been working with some partners internally to make this happen so that we can actually bridge the gap between traditional financial industry and somehow connect the liquidity providers, what we have in DeFi space, with proper mechanisms and all, to this new market where we can actually bank the unbanked people. I mean, there's a lot of areas we can serve there. So good things are coming up for EasyFi. Would be more than happy to share more on this in coming times.
Sure. Great. I'd love to, I'm on your site, and yes, you're powered by Matic, but I see you're also powered by Trust Score. So tell us a little more about what that is and how that's impacting your application.
So, like as I referred in my previous conversation a couple minutes ago, so Trust Score basically is an on-chain credit rating mechanism, which was built by our other company, CoinFox, and we powered EasyFi with that. Is basically it gathers all your credit history, your transaction history from all across DeFi on different chains. It is yet to be expanded to Binance Smart Chain yet, but on Ethereum, it is already there. So it reads up that information, puts up the credit rating algorithms, and then it processes and gives you a credit score, which we are going to be using in optimizing your collateralization ratio. So instead of having a collateralization ratio of 125%, 30%, we might be able to bring it down. And especially because we are operating on layer 2 options where the price feeds are also not in 15 seconds, you get it every 2 seconds being updated. So even in case of a flash crash, the amount of timing for liquidations can be much faster. Hence, that will also give us more efficiency into the LTVs that we will be processing in terms of loans.
Is that score for the chain itself, or does that go into each individual user and give everyone a trust score?
The wallet address.
The wallet address. Oh, okay. Because I feel like that's such an important building block, just to kind of go back to like the home purchase type idea of like, I should instantaneously at all times, I should have a number fluctuating with how much lending power that I have based on what assets that I have. And so you should know instantaneously at all times if you can purchase this asset that you want and what the payment would be, because at all times, the rest of the market knows that. And on top of that, the rest of the market has already decided which people and how much money that they would like to lend with their assets. And so, it's like if I wanted to purchase a house, I should just literally press this button, right? Instantly that offer goes to that homeowner, and they can be like, yes or no. If it's a yes, that instantly tells like the inspector to go out. It instantly, pings the county for the records. They come do the inspection. If everything clicks, your phone changes. Your phone's the key to the house, and your phone changes to another key, and now you just walk into your house. And it's like that entire transaction can happen on chain, but it's I like that the trust score piece of it is, I think, an important piece to making that happen.
Absolutely. I mean, it's just happening tomorrow into 2030.
I think we should build it.
Yeah, so that's the path. Eventually the whole technology will get in there. The IoTs and the blockchains will come together for more and more useful stuff. But everything is gonna go piece by piece. Like every house is built with a brick. So it's time to build that house with those bricks being put up together in the right way.
So that's a missing piece in the puzzle of Web 3.2 identity. And I think so to brought down the collateralization ratios to more optimum level, we need to have borrowers evaluation mechanisms being developed, and that to way efficient than what we have right now, to achieve that dream of very newer dream of under collateralization in DeFi, uncollateralization in DeFi.
Yeah.
Every conversation ends up back at identity.
Of course, but that's a missing piece.
Yeah. And it's interesting because we've talked to many projects, and a lot of them have like an identity solution just on their blockchain, just within their ecosystem. It's closed, and there's like this is the poster child of needing interoperability. Like there's got to be an identity solution out there that works across everything, and this is, I mean, from a UX standpoint, the closest thing that we see is like MetaMask. I mean, if you think about it, you connect your MetaMask wallet and you're in there. It's not like it knows it's me, but like we've had discussions about like voting, governance, and these things, and it's like you got to solve identity first. You can't just throw a voting system together and not know who's voting. So it becomes quite the challenge. So I'd like to talk a little bit about your token. Tell us about the Easy token, how it works. What can users do with it?
So right now, Easy token is being used for various different incentivization programs for various community building programs. So we have a program called Access, which enable more newer projects, newer DeFi projects, or newer blockchain-based projects to get access to introduction to the community. So their easy holders can actually get free access to those particular project tokens being committed, obviously vested for over a period. So it is being done that way. Plus, right now there are various different dual farming programs that we do where people are having getting ability to earn different tokens which are of our partner projects. So recently we did one with Matic. We are having a DF2 running with Boring DAO and stuff like that. Beyond that, so governance, there is still some time to reach there. The next immediate use that's going to come for the token is going to be the cross-chain settlements. And like once, as I said, we're going to expand to multiple layer 2, and then that interconnectivity, interoperability will come in. That will be the time the real settlements across the chains is going to start to happen with Easy Token.
And how do the tokenomics work of this? Like what, and I guess what's the allocation? Because I noticed there's what you have 1.63 million in circulating supply right now and 10 million max. I guess how does that release look going forward?
Anshul, you want your favorite topic?
Yeah, of course. So 1.63 million, of course, is circulating supply as of now. But out of it, it also includes liquidity provision fund of around 265K tokens. And there's also one thing, we need to keep some tokens over different blockchains also, since we are expanding. And there's the reconciliation will happen over the time with that part too. And regarding the emission schedules of all the advisors or investors, we have a linear emission over the period of time, 12 months to 18 months. And teams tokens are vested for another 18 months. So all in all, we have 20% for foundation tokens also. So all these tokens will be released by 2.5 years, coming 2.5 years, I think. Yeah. So a major portion we have kept for community, and which is around 39.5%. And we tend to utilize 12% of that portion in first year of our operations, and the rest of it over the coming 3 to 4 years, so that we have a balance between the inflation. And of course, we retail do not suffer from all the emissions what are happening over the time. So we try to keep a balance. Of course, we are very much open to feedback from the community. In fact, we keep on taking that feedback time and again. And once governance will kick in, everything will be in the hands of community to decide on this part. So we are looking for and very actively building up the communities, be it regional or a centralized one, or a major one, I would say. So once we have that flywheel moving up, we'll give that control to community over time.
That's great. And on that topic of community, maybe let's shift a little bit to talk about marketing.
Yep.
How do you see the crypto community fitting into your marketing efforts?
I mean, a lot of feedback is coming from the community. Personally, I have been very much involved with all the major segments, be it regional community, talking to the Vietnamese one, talking with Japanese one, Korean one, and our Turkish community. We established a small community with Bangladesh also. We have a dedicated community for India also. We try to expand with the exchanges so that they can also interact regionally with the local exchanges. And we tend to expand over social media channels too, so that we have regular interaction and there's a two-way communication while we are disseminating information about EasyFi to them. We should be getting constant communication from them, constant interaction, so that we have a feedback loop there. So our endeavors has been, of course, what we are right now. We have a robust community of more than 20,000 people as of now. And what so far EasyFi has been able to achieve, the major portion of that, all the credit goes to the community itself, I must say.
And when you say community of 20,000 people, is that what channels does that look like? Where do you focus? I heard Telegram. I heard Ankitt earlier talking about half his day being on Telegram already.
Yeah,
that's
so
tough.
our focus is Telegram. Our focus is Telegram and Twitter as of now, and because that's where everyone is practically. I mean, you get hundreds of DMs daily. I mean, literally 2 hours of my daily routine goes into replying to all the people there. So that's I mean that's my main pain point also. But
Replying to
then
his
again, that's
DMs and people
yeah.
which are out to him also.
Yeah, so that's one part of it, and Twitter and Telegram would be my major focus areas.
So you're getting DMs from people on Twitter, and then they also post publicly on Twitter, and then they go on Telegram and ask the same question. And you have to answer in 3 places.
When moon, sir, when moon.
When moon. Yeah. So when is moon? Don't answer that.
Of course.
And what's the most effective? What do you find the most effective with your efforts? Like, what are your strategies you put in place and you say, yep, I know that's going to work, and the community goes crazy? What exactly is it?
So I got good response on the Twitter, and of course it takes time to respond to Telegram to all the messages. Then again, Twitter is a good medium to have a interaction, because somehow there's more public information. You can always ignore a DM, but not on the Twitter. That a constant rant will be coming up in Twitter if you ignore anybody. So also, I mean, there's more exposure, I would say, from there's more neat and clean communication over Twitter in comparison to Telegram.
100% true. That's right. Yes. Yeah. And Joe, go ahead. I think you're gonna ask.
No, I was just gonna say, you guys are going through that fun transition, kind of like what we're going through of, it's important for the founding team to answer and be close to customer support for as long as humanly possible. But at some point you do need to take one step away from that, because it is a 100% full-time job. And if you're answering every single question, which like I tend to love to get in there, and sometimes I'll end up having long conversations with people because they've got really good feedback, or you're just learning. But yeah, that transition from that piece, to getting back to strategy and some of the other stuff is really important. But it is good to stay as close as you can for as long as you can, I would say.
So it was exactly the same heat that we started to feel, and we sort of trained a set of team to sort of handle all these kind of things that Anshul just mentioned. And it's such a coincidence that we just launched EasyFi support just today. So we just dedicatedly announced an EasyFi support handle on Twitter for answering all the community questions, so that the primary official marketing team do not get bogged up in answering those questions. And the support team is the one which is going to be handling it. It's a dedicated separate team which were under training for last 15 days. They saw all the kind of questions, observing case studies, and now these guys are pretty much geared up to be able to handle those kind of questions. So we were already feeling the heat, by the way.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. Well, I'm curious. This is a question for Ankitt. I mean, you said earlier that you do a quarterly product roadmap, which means you're probably thinking about this every day and constantly thinking about like, how do we evolve our future? But probably also, I'd imagine you're also thinking out just like in small chunks. But how do you see the community playing a role in what you were talking about earlier with the product roadmap and evolving that?
So basically, community does play a role in terms of thinking and their reactions to, as we were talking about, as in what they think, how do they observe. Like I tell you, we were having a couple different things in our roadmap for this quarter, but we realized that it is taking some time for community to absorb what we are offering. So we sort of had to actually slow down our speed. I said, guys, look, we got to give it some more time. So before we sort of push another thing, others people will get confused and they will forget everything, and then you will not get adoption. You will have a nice working complex engineering machine, but nobody's using it, and we don't want that situation. And that's why sort of we sort of take that kind of input from the community's reaction. While they might not be speaking in verbatim, but we sort of can sense it well, like how clearly the messages are going out. And based on that, we sort of adjust the roadmap a little bit here and there. So that is one that. And overall, as I told you, like when we started the project, the umbrella vision was very, very clear. So all the steps are being taken under that umbrella vision. So there are certain steps that we're gonna take in the coming weeks, coming quarter, related to uncollateralized loans, and then under collateralized loans in the quarters to come. So, and that this is not a new information. It is there on EasyFi's website that we're going to build that. Now, how exactly, with whom, what is going to be the exact use case, that is what we kind of keep on working continuously, working with various different ecosystem partners. Polygon helps us a lot in connecting the dots, helping us connecting with people, and we sort of then build and find synergies on expanding. And that's how the next quarter's roadmap evolve, and then the next quarter. So that's essentially how we work.
Great.
Yeah, no, thanks for going through that. And I know we've got just a couple minutes left. We did have one question of how will you incentivize lenders and borrowers to the platform, which I think is a little bit more of like generalized, build cool stuff, people will come. But is there something else? Like, what is there? Is there an outreach to some of these people? How is that working?
So essentially, and this is like a fact, and I always quote this example. People who watch my interviews must have got bored with this quote now. The situation that we are in right now in DeFi is essentially the same what e-commerce was in 10, 12 years ago. So e-commerce at that point of time was all about discounts. Today, in DeFi got real kick in when Compound launched farming in June 2020, June 2020, right? So that was the real time when TVL in DeFi really started to grow exponentially. So this reflected that as long as there is incentivization for people to bring in capital, they will follow. And we tested this theory with our launch as well. So when EasyFi was launched, we had very aggressive incentivization programs, and we were able to clock in $44 million TVL in first 26 hours. No DeFi layer 2 protocol had ever achieved that, So we know the drill, basically. And then to curb the inflation, we sort of cut down the rewards, because at that point of time, it was more of stable coins that we launched. And then we gradually are building the real meat stuff. And now we're going to start the incentivization for lending, borrowing on the platform, but obviously in a more optimum manner, unlike the mad incentives that we gave at that point of time. So we know that. So we wanted to validate our thesis, because there was definitely a resistance to enter onto layer 2. Hence, the rewards had to be high. If they would not have been that interesting for people to come, people would not really have put in effort to even connect or set up a Polygon automatic blockchain into their MetaMasks. But for those rewards, they came, and yes, it was a balance. We realized that people were there; they wanted to do stuff. As long as they are being incentivized correctly, there's an efficiency to their capital returns, they would be happy to come in. So we are definitely going to bring in incentivization programs as now product is more mature, more things are there for them to do. Hence, it makes sense to bring in more liquidity to the platform. So there are definitely going to be new programs coming up in weeks to come.
Yeah, it's a pivotal spot when you kind of want to layer on referral and incentivization, and to what level. It's like you kind of want the product to be in a position that has the virality that it needs to have. I completely understand that.
I'm curious, what was I probably wasn't paying attention at the time, but what was the incentive to get $44 million in 26 hours?
300% API.
I missed that.
But we are not fan of very crazy APYs, I tell you. Rather we call it APRs only. So a 2-figure is fine, I think. So it is probable enough to cover all your expenses and give you enough motivation to get on a layer 2. So I mean, in the starting, DeFi was crazy about APYs. I can see 5-figure APYs over the board, and the expression on our faces, what are these guys crazy? What how it's going to sustain anyhow? So we figured it out. Also, we tried to bring in more partners to farm tokens with the dual farming program of ours. It has been getting a very good response overall. We tried it, and we have been working with different partners. Right now, you can see Boring DAO is our partner with the dual farming program, where users are getting around 100% of APY as such, because the prices are going up.
Yeah, such an elaborate pause there. I thought for a second you were going to say, we got Kanye and Kim Kardashian to tweet about it, or like you were just like the pause.
I wish so.
Love it.
That is what is happening as of now, right?
Yeah, right.
So you guys have talked a lot about your future, but I'd love to hear what your thoughts are. I mean, I've got another screen here. It looks like right now TVL, there's $35.78 billion locked in DeFi right now. Holy moly, that's a lot. What are your thoughts on the future of DeFi as we wrap it up here?
It's going to grow. We are working with some amazing projects, which we are also very, very bullish on, which are going to, I mean, if the way they are working and the things that they are bringing onto the table, it's really not going to impact the DeFi industry, not just the protocols.
Yep.
So connecting the real traditional finances, enterprises to DeFi, and 2021 I can see is the time of enterprises, NFTs, and these kind of things, real object NFTs to come to the world. So that's really going to be very, very exciting years. I was just reading a Cointelegraph article just like this morning, and they were also talking about the similar enterprise DeFi stuff. So that's really, we are also eyeing on to work with some interesting partners to mobilize some of these idle capital via the EasyFi protocol and make this whole thing contributing to the overall DeFi, TVL, and contribution towards the adoption of DeFi.
Yep.
Great. We did just have one last minute question here. Can you ask the team if they're planning to put staking on Binance? Can you answer that? I don't know.
Yes, we do have plans, but we don't have dates as of now. Definitely looking forward. Yeah, for sure.
Cool. Well, we're coming up on the hour. I mean, you guys, this was super fun going through this with you, and it was a pleasure to learn from you and to meet you guys. And I appreciate you both staying up late and coming on here, and just let everyone know, where do you want to send everyone? How do they learn about EasyFi?
Do more with DeFi.
Do more. Hashtag do more with DeFi. All right.
DeFi, yeah.
You just search it and you get to know everything about EasyFi.
Cool.
Because EasyFi is all about do more with DeFi.
Cool. We'll do more. We're going to do more with DeFi, and I appreciate you guys coming on, Anshul, Ankitt, EasyFi, and thank you everyone for listening. And John, as always,
thank you so much for inviting us.
We'll chat with you back in a second.